Welcome to the broadcast, my fruits. Now, there's been quite a lot of disparagement over the past few days regarding Meghan Markle, and it is the gal's birthday week, so let's bear that in mind. Many happy returns, my dear. I hope you get whatever's coming to you. I hope you had a wonderful birthday in that garden in Montecito. But I think when those two sped over the pond to that shack, when they sped over there, they wanted to spend all that time in the peace and quiet and serenity in the gardens with the jacaranda trees and the frangipani. I don't think they were anticipating the sound of tumbleweed blowing through it, because that's the delicious sound that I've been hearing. Tumbleweed, tumbleweed, People magazine, tumbleweed, 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 Tatler magazine, tumbleweed, 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 and the Queen, tumbleweed, because reports have been coming in that the Queen has made a little snub, a little dig at Meghan and Harry over the past week. Now, that's open to interpretation. I personally feel that the Queen is the Queen, and she doesn't go in for subtle little digs and snubs of that nature. I truly believe that. But as for the palace and the firm and the people behind her social media, for example, speechwriters, I wouldn't call it snubbing, but I would just say that they are addressing a certain balance by omitting the Harkles from bits and bobs. That's all it is. It's not a snub, because the Queen doesn't snub people. It is an omittance that needs to be engineered at this time when they have been disparaged so badly by that side of the family. So we have a little bit of disparagement to look over. I will also be looking at some praise that they've received lately, because I like to show the light and shade of what's going on and of various personalities. But yes, she gave a message to the Lambeth Conference, the 15th Lambeth Conference. And actually, it was a beautiful message if you want to read it online. It was a wonderful commentary and message she gave in relation to her faith in Jesus Christ, the hope that he gives her, his message gives her, and how she is personally guided by the Christian message. Every single day she makes it very clear, my dear, exactly who she turns to for succour and for sustenance. It's very important. It's a very important message to give the world at a time when many don't want to listen to messages of faith and hope. But for those that are there and are eager to hear, she is there as an all-powerful, effervescent wellspring. And within that message, she mentioned the good work, you see, of the Duke of Cambridge and Charlie Boy. She said, and this made the press headlines, she said, "I was interested to learn that the focus of your programme at Lambeth Palace today is reflection and dialogue on the theme of the environment, a cause close to my... so blind without my glasses these days. A cause close to the heart of my late husband and carried on by the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Cambridge." And of course, with all Harry's work towards that kind of thing and the environment, omitted. Whereas once upon a time he would have been cradled into that paragraph. But I'm afraid, my dears, due to his own decision, cut from the speech. No reference to it. None. And there was no reference on social media to Meghan's birthday from the Queen. No reference. And people are mentioning this only because last year she did get a mention with photographs and balloons, all this kind of thing. Now, come on. Do you really think the Queen is sitting behind some IT engineer going, "Oh, well, I think we'll put this on Twitter today"? She's got better things to do, my dear. She's got the Racing Post to read. And the dogs to go walkies. Come on, my dear. Do you really think she's there on Twitter looking at all the dramas that are going on? I mean, I ask you. If it was down to the Queen, there wouldn't be birthday greetings on Twitter and this kind of thing. And if it was down to me, there wouldn't be. I don't approve of any of them. It is so... it's just so vulgar, my dear. It's just so... If you want to wish somebody a happy birthday, give them a ring, send them a card, do the traditional things. But these greetings out, it's so unroyal. I don't care what you think. I don't care if it's modern times. I don't think Charles or William should be doing it either for any members of the royal family. I'm sorry, my dear. It's not royal. It's for commoners. This is royalty. Wish them a happy birthday in the privacy of your own palace, my dear, or your castle. You know, I mean, these public greetings are so unnecessary. I find it cheap. Cheap as chips. But that's the modern world. I'm told I've got to suck it up, so there you go. But Clarence House and Kensington Palace put their messages out to Meghan. I did find it rather amusing seeing some of the articles in rags like Hello and the Daily Express, warm, heartfelt wishes sent to the Harkles. I mean, all they said was happy birthday to the Duchess or happy birthday Meghan, whatever it was. Hardly heartfelt now, of course. You could say kill them with kindness, you know, put the positivity out there. But is there really any need for this gong show to carry on, this pretense? Happy birthday. I mean, the Sussexes aren't even on social media anymore, so it's not like they're going to counter it with happy birthday Charles, happy birthday William. It's also juvenile in my eyes. Let's quit the pretense, cut it out and stop all these crappy birthday wishes here, there and everywhere. The Queen has exactly the right idea. Ignore birthdays. Cancel birthdays. It's not royal. Now, the other snubs that have been making headlines involved a British magazine, Tatler, famed for its sort of high society features and articles, and those who are in the know being rather intimately involved with it. And on the other side of the pond is People magazine, and the less said about that, the better. But, you know, People magazine in particular has been aligned, shall we say, with a certain narrative towards the Harkles and certain involvements involving Meghan, shall we say, which we all know about. And people have shown surprise because Catherine was featured on that cover regarding her future queenhood on Meghan's birthday week. Dennis King, did you notice that on Megalomaniac's 41st birthday, People magazine released its cover featuring Kate Middleton with the headline, The Making of a Queen? I don't think this was an accident, which makes me think that the Kate cover on 8/4 was intentional. Why do Americans put it round the wrong way? I don't understand why you put the month before the day. Oh no. Over here it's the 4th of the 8th, 22. It's, you know, the little followed by the medium followed by the large, day, month, year. And Americans twizzle it, don't they, with the month first. And the I'm sure it's just as confusing for you, my dears, when you see our format. But it's nonsensical to me. Anyway, so 4th of August. People magazine in the past have been one of the biggest supporters of Megalomaniac and Harry-larious. I guess editors now realise the tide has turned. Your thoughts? Well, it is interesting, isn't it? It is interesting timing. You know, I've got to agree with you there. Because it's Meghan's birthday week and she turns to her favourite magazine, those chums over at People. And who's there? Her nemesis. The queen she could never be, the beauty that she could never aspire to be, and the gracehood that unfortunately is not her birthright, but Catherine's. So that must have been a really hard thing to wake up to, and I can imagine that she would have ripped the page out of that magazine, or cut out the face from the cover, plonked her own through it to try and reimagine herself on the cover. Well, I'm sure her time will come again, my dear. I'm sure it will. But, you know, this is just press. And the thing that she has got to come to terms with, because she'll have no choice, especially as she transcends from 41 to 51, and that star wanes. You know, royalty doesn't age in the same way. That's why a 96-year-old will find herself on the cover of magazines all over the world, whereas a duchess, a minor duchess and duke fled the pond. I'll be interested to see what covers they're going to be making at 96. Saga magazine? I don't know. But it ain't going to be People. It ain't going to be Vogue. It ain't going to be Tatler. But that's why royalty is ageless. And Catherine is evergreen. You know, she is an evergreen star. She is not a deciduous celebrity. Because the Harkles come into bloom at certain seasons. When they're disparaging the royals, when they've got something to merch, when they've got something to sell. You know, if there's a real reason that they're going to put some bums on seats and get the readers in there, of course, then People magazine will be back doing them favours. Of course they will, my dear. That's the way that the world works. But they are going to be very limited in these seasons that they're going to be in favour, whereas Catherine will be tried and true and always come through, my dear, because that blood is blue. So, yeah, Catherine was awarded #1 in the 25 Best Dressed of the Year. Others of note included Beatrice at #11. Good on you, Beatrice, my dear. Some of you, and I think myself included, noticed that we saw an improvement this year, didn't we? And I think lots of us credit the influence of her husband on refining some of that eccentric style, because eccentric is good. And as I've said, I've grown to rather love the fact that she and Eugenie wear rather ugly clothes. And I can see the beauty in having a signature style of that kind. Needed a little bit of refining. Maybe they're getting there in some ways. I mean, I'll never get used to all the headbands all the time, but I appreciate the fact that at least it's not bland and dull. So she got #11. Oh yes, at #18 was the Marquis of Lorne, little Archie Campbell. Here he is pictured with the Queen. Of course, this was some years ago. He's 18 years old now. He's very much an eligible bachelor coming up, in line to be the next Duke of Argyll. No mention of Meghan on this list, no mention. So out of favour there. Now, I do like to be fair, so just for a few seconds, I will mention some praise that Meghan and Harry have received lately. And particularly in respect to Harry, I think it's very fair to mention the praise coming up. But something silly here. Tyler Perry, friend of the Harkles, wished Meghan a happy birthday. And he posted this sweet picture of Meghan back in 2019. And he said, "I've had a front row seat in your life for the past few years. I've watched you endure things that would have broken a lot of people. I'm so incredibly proud to see how happy you, your husband, and your kids are now. It fills me with joy to say happy birthday, Princess Meghan." So, ghastly to read, isn't it, my dear? But, that is his experience of her. We have to bear this in mind. People out there, friends of her and Harry's, absolutely adore them. And, I take all of that on board. Although, again, it does make you wonder, just as I criticise the royals for putting out birthday messages. What's behind his need to congratulate her in such a way so publicly? Why is he doing her PR? Why can't he just send her a card or bring round a batch of cookies like any normal person? Well, anyway, Prince Harry was praised, and this was a really nice story. You can't put this past the boy, because he seems to have genuine caring for many, many people, and I've never doubted that. There was quite a touching story from a Ukrainian paramedic who has seen and witnessed and videoed the most hideous goings-on and acts of violence while she was there. Well, she was kidnapped by the Russians. I believe she was tortured, and mercifully she was released sometimes later after 3 months in captivity. And she said that Prince Harry has been a huge part of her healing process, because he gave her a call out of the blue, and she said that he simply inspired me to continue to fight. He'd spoken strongly and sincerely about Ukraine, which inspired her to keep assisting people. She spoke quite a lot about him, and she said that it really digged her out of the depression that she was in and got her fighting again. So, there's no doubt about the fact that he, because of his association to royalty, obviously, because if it was Joe Bloggs off the street, I can't see why it would inspire her. But because of his association with royalty, because he's a prince, it really pulled her out of the doldrums and got her going again. So well done, Harry. It doesn't look like he invited publicity for this. It looks like she was the one that gave him the publicity of her own volition, as far as we know. Now, whether it was encouraged by other quarters, other agencies, I don't know, my dear. Your guess is as good as mine. And I would hate to be as cynical as to think that was what happened. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now. But it is worth saying that the really lovely stories that have come out, in contrast to the rather more disparaging ones this week about the Harkles, the lovely ones all involve Harry, not Meghan. All involve Harry. I'm sure she's doing wonderful things behind the scenes, but who knows? Harry has also been receiving praise for remarkable news. Prince Harry received an amazing piece of news on his wife Meghan's birthday after being snubbed by Her Majesty the Queen. No one can resist, can they? No one can resist mentioning that as well. Yes, after he was snubbed by the Queen, he had some amazing news. It was to do with his patronage of his charitable organisation, African Parks. And on Meghan's birthday, what a coincidence, it announced that it had completed a huge conservation project. 263 elephants and 431 other creatures were translocated to safety to Kasungu National Park in Malawi, an incredible achievement as the Duke has been working closely with the charity since 2016. And again, it comes after the Duke's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, recently snubbed Harry in a speech she gave at Lambeth Palace. So again, sounds like fantastic work. It really does, it really does. Well done, Henry. Well done, my dear. But again, where's Meghan? What did Meghan do? Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed, tumbleweed, tumbleweed. What is she cooking up behind the scenes? The mind boggles. Don't you worry, my dear, she'll be up to something. She'll be wanting to churn something else out, but she must be getting a little bit bitter that Harry's getting all the praise for successful projects when hers keep hitting the fan, don't they? They keep hitting the fan. And I was expecting her to drum up some of her celebrity friends, Oprah, Gayle, Ellen. What happened to them donating 41 minutes of their time? Remember last year she had that wonderful project where all her stars offered 40 minutes of their time to various worthwhile mentorships, that kind of thing, wasn't it? Well, what happened to 41 minutes this year? Or 41 seconds of their time that they could have given up? She could have rustled all of it. Tyler Perry, haven't you got 41 seconds spare to get on a Zoom call with somebody and give of your time? Maybe that's what the Twitter post was. That must have taken all of 41 seconds to congratulate Meghan on her wonderfulness. So now we know exactly why that was posted. Now, this was a lovely story. Some little chap on a train carriage on the way to Birmingham to the Commonwealth Games ended up having a chat with our future Queen, and he didn't even know it, while his father was taking a leak. This was on a train carriage en route to Birmingham for the Commonwealth Games, and sort of 5 minutes before it pulled into Birmingham station, Matthew Syed left his young 8-year-old son for a few moments to go and pay a penny, and while the father was in the lavatory urinating, while he was holding his own member and urinating, he was literally just a couple of yards away from our future Queen, who got into conversation with the little boy, and she said, "Oh, are you alone?" And they made chit-chat, and the father inside the vestibule had no idea that Catherine was on the train. So he was literally holding his member, urinating, while a couple of yards away from our future Queen. Can you believe that? He was hearing the sound of our future Queen while he was urinating in the royal presence. But he didn't know it was Catherine, the son didn't know he was talking to Catherine. It was only after he finished and emerged, and I think just as he was getting off the train, he turned around and said, "Oh, Kate!" "Oh, Kate!" And he praised her character and her sense of duty. He said that she had no idea that she was talking to the son of a journalist. That's who this Matthew Syed was. She had no idea. She just thought it was some random. And he said the monarchy is in consummate hands because, unlike the Markles, you see, she had this conversation with the little boy, not realising that she was being overheard by the father, who had connections at the Times, who wrote this article. She genuinely was being lovely, unseen. She presumed unheard, but she was heard, and it was noted. But the mind boggles. I don't know if there's any time in history when a commoner has been so close to a future Queen while relieving himself. The mind absolutely boggles. Poor Queenie, another friend, has bitten the dust, my dears. They drop like flies, don't they? This time Lady Myra Butter, at the age of 97, who was a great pal of the Queen and Prince Philip, and a descendant of Nicholas I of Russia, and also the writer Pushkin. and she's been friends with the Queen since childhood. They used to do a lot of swimming together, sports, and I think they attended Girl Guides. Harry's up to his old tricks again with another lawsuit against the British government, his own granny's government, and Scotland Yard, a second lawsuit over the decision not to allow him to pay for police protection on his visits to the UK. This lawsuit is against the Home Office and also names the Metropolitan Police, and he's already suing the Home Office over its decision in 2020 to remove his taxpayer-funded protection, which he says makes it unsafe for him and his family to travel to Britain. And I think it's such an embarrassment for the Queen, and, I don't know who to blame, but what I will say is that all this should have been thrashed out, drawn up, signed and sealed when all the deliberations went on with regards to him leaving. This should have all been cleared up at the time with no loose ends and overseen, so that all of this nastiness could be avoided, because it's just more disparagement and embarrassment at every turn. It just makes you cringe. But, of course, we have a wonderful royal like Princess Anne to remind us of just devotional, dutiful service and joy. She wore a gorgeous coat in a Christmas red, I'd say. Who'd have thunk it in midsummer, high summer now, who'd have thunk it? A lovely sort of Christmas red with a gold brooch, and she was at the Edinburgh Tattoo rehearsals. She's a patron, you see, of the Edinburgh Tattoo, and she met Piper training cadets. Thank you for popping in and joining me for a cup of tea and a slice of cake today, my fruits, and I look forward to doing so again in the next broadcast. Thank you for your tip jar treats. I'm going to go out and spend some of it right now on a lovely Saturday coffee with one of my famous pain au chocolat pastries. And I'm going to dunk, dunk, dunk on you. So thank you very much, my dears. You're very kind. I'll see you again soon. Enjoy this wonderful August weekend. If you love wonderful, hot August weekends. Thank God for the electric fan. Sorry, my dear, very beautiful, but doesn't beat the electric one. I've got another electric fan coming today because misery making. Anyway, we won't whinge about the sun. Me? Never. See you soon. Toodle pip.